Any person who ever learned the Mishnayot of Masechet Bava Kama knows the categories that are actually mentioned in our Parsha, Parashat Mishpatim, the four categories of damages, of nezikin. If it's an animal that causes damage, or it's an obstacle, a bow, or it's a person who causes damage, or a fire. Fire damages, the four categories of nezikin, and the four categories of shomrim, people who keep things for an object for some other person. If he does it for nothing, a shomer chinam, or if he does it for money, he gets paid for it, or you take something, you lend an object from someone else, or maybe you're renting an object or a property, whatever it is, a car. Those are the four categories of shomrim. What is the categorical difference between the four categories of damages and shomrim if you're keeping something for someone else? And the main difference, I think, is as follows. When we're talking about damages, we're talking about a technical question of who has to pay, who is responsible in every different type of situations. But the encounters between the two parties involved are sporadic. There's no actual connection between people. If somebody has a car accident and the question is who has to pay or who's responsible, there's no connection between the two people. If a fire burst out and burned something, there's no connection. Or my dog bit someone, I have no relationship with him. It's just a question of, am I responsible? Do I have to pay? Not have to pay? How much to pay? And so on and so forth. When we're talking about shomrim, if I'm keeping something for someone else, it boils down to technical questions of who needs to pay, but it starts at a much more basic level of a relationship between people. I give you something to keep for me. I'm renting something from you. I have a relationship with you. I trust you at a certain level. I lend you something. I trust you. It starts from trust between people, and then we get down to the small details. But shomrim, as a shomer, to keep something, is something that starts with a relationship, and that's why the responsibility of a shomer is much higher. Even if he's only negligent, he didn't do anything actually actively, even negligence you may have to pay. If something happened, you have to swear to Kadosh Baruch Hu, and in front of the person who lent you the object, in order to appease him, because he trusted you. How come you don't know what happened to it? What are you talking about? And there it goes from there. So that is the difference between damages, which is sporadic encounters, versus shomrim, which is a relationship. And what's true between people is also true between us and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Rav Soloveitchik says an amazing thing. He says, how do we define religious people? What is the usual Jewish term for a religious person? We call him a Shomer Mitzvot, a person who keeps mitzvot. Not a person who performs mitzvot, but a person who keeps mitzvot. We're a shomer, because keeping mitzvot is not just a technical aspect of our life, and shouldn't be only a technical aspect of our life, but should be come from a deep relationship, a shomer. Just like if a person gives me something, he trusts me. If Kadosh Baruch Hu trusts us, we have our faith and trust in him. And from that relationship, it comes down to our practical way of life, which brings it into practice. But it starts from relationship. It gets down to the small details. And that is, I think, the idea we're talking about, and what we should take to ourselves and try and get to a level where we not only do what we need to do and have it as a technical thing, but also have a relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, which all the actions we do have much wider meaning as part of that special relationship. Shabbat Shalom.